Hello, everyone. How is everyone today? Are you having a good time?
They don't respond to that. They respond to GM. So GM, everyone.
GM, everyone? Is that better? Well, hello. I'm Shamir.
I'm Remy.
James.
We don't officially have a moderator, so we're going to kind of keep it loose and conversational between us. If we have time, we want to talk to the audience as well. Let's just start a quick round of intros.
Sounds good. I'll kick it off. James Friel, Director of Business Development for Axelar. It's an interoperability solution, cross-chain messaging. If you guys are probably familiar with the topic right now, we'll jump into why that has to do with NFTs and storytelling.
I'm Remy. So I'm the founder of the Genesis Empire and a clothing brand from the UK, actually, as you can tell by my accent, Felipe Remy. We're currently wearing the hat as well, and we looked to venture into the Web3 space. I started my project in 2022. We released in the bear market. We actually built in the bear, and we're trying to own the bull market as well, as we say.
The next wave.
Yeah, literally. And I guess we can probably get more into the introductions after.
Sure. So wait, is there an NFT for this hat?
Not yet.
Okay, but there will be.
Would you mint it?
On Algorand, it's basically free. So,
Yeah.
all right, and hi everyone. Shamir Ozery. I'm head of Web3 at the Algorand Foundation. Prior to that, I was at Algorand Inc. on more of a marketing role. Who knows Algorand? Raise your hand if you know Algorand. Okay, a lot of people do, so I won't go very, very deep in it, but basically Algorand is a layer 1 protocol, like Ethereum, like Solana, like Cardano. It's very fast, very scalable, very secure. Fees are, when I say fast, I mean 3.5 second transaction times, which is what we're used to in the Web 2 side, right? If you're processing your credit card, very, very scalable to nations, Silvio, our founder, likes to say, and very, very environmentally friendly. Algorand's actually, it consumes what a Tesla does throughout the year, the entire chain, and we're actually carbon negative because we offset it with carbon credits. So that's Algorand in a nutshell. Now the theme, it was kind of interesting how this happened. I think we each applied for a talk, and then we were given the subject, which we all have, I think, certain perspective around, right?
Course,
we all come from a different place, right?
Yeah.
But we were talking before this about how innate stories are to humans, right? Stories are in our DNA. They're part of what makes us humans. If you think of it, right, stories are what, I think it's Yuval Noah Harari that says that that's what differentiates humans from animals, right? Like I can teach my son a hard-learned lesson, but a lioness can't ask her cub,
of course,
where do you want to play tomorrow? That just doesn't work. Or maybe remind him of the time that he was born, right? That's just not how it works. And I think the key to understand about stories is that stories invoke emotions in us as humans, and emotions ultimately lead to action more than our logical thinking, right? The things that resonate within the stories really at the end of the day tell us who we are, right?
Yeah.
And who our tribe is. So I guess on that note, why don't maybe you could tell us each a little bit about your story personally, and then your company story.
Of course, yeah.
So let's start
I
with
think
you,
it's
James.
got to start with Remy.
Yeah.
All right, Remy, yeah.
Okay, so I'll probably start with how I entered into the crypto space. So I entered the crypto space in 2016, 2017. So this was like the height of the bull market, which I'm sure everyone jumped into at that point. I started investing in coins like XRP, Litecoin, Bitcoin, all the normal coins, and I started making a decent amount of money actually, and I was at university at the time. From that moment, I was taking money out slowly as the bear market was coming. No one knew the bear market was coming in 2018, and eventually, I lost a lot of money actually, because the markets went down, and everyone sold, and I didn't know the market was going to recover from that point. I left crypto for a while, jumped back in 2020, 2021. I think that's when everyone was like, okay, COVID period, everyone's indoors, everyone wants to know what Bitcoin is and you can make money from home. So eventually jumped into crypto again, and I invested in a coin called SHIB, which everyone's probably aware of. And there was only one website you could get SHIB on, which was Hotbit. I don't know if anyone's aware of the exchange Hotbit. And I put in $70 at the time in SHIB, and it turned into 20 grand on Coinbase.
That's a good story.
Yeah, I know it's ridiculous. And then from that moment, I started looking at NFTs in the space, metaverse companies and gaming companies. Invested in my first NFT, the Sidus Heroes, which is a gaming NFT metaverse. I'm into gaming. I grew up on gaming. And then a couple of weeks later, I entered the competition for a Bored Ape, Mutant Ape, and I eventually won a competition for a Mutant Ape from JF.
That's a decent prize, man.
Yeah, JF, he started at NFT with Mark Cuban, and at NFT was huge in 2020, 2021 on Instagram. They had like 1.7 million followers. They got taken down by Meta. Boom, Meta. But yeah, that was like literally like life-changing for me at that point. And from that moment, I found God, and I eventually started my own NFT company called the Genesis Empire. The inspiration comes from the Bible, the Genesis, of course. And most first mints of NFTs, they always have a Genesis mint. So, I was like, okay, I need to integrate a story of the Genesis for the Bible into my project. And, it comes from, the story of higher power, essentially. And that storyline, it involves 2 to 3 characters where they go on a journey to find themselves with the higher power as well. And you can find that on Twitter, and you can find that on my social page as well. But we integrate manga pieces and animation into that as well. And there's 777 unique PFPs. We was going to do a 10K PFP collection, 20K PFP collection, but it was the bear market, and everyone does 10K and 20K PFPs. We want to be really unique. We want to build with our holders, and we want to build with the real people in the space that actually enjoy anime and manga as well. So there's someone in the back with a pink hat that has a manga on his back as well, which I saw.
You over there.
Yeah, so I'm into like manga and anime and Dragon Ball Z and Naruto and all those things, and that's how I got my inspiration in creating that as well. So we're building the bear market. I'm ready to own the bull market. So yeah,
right, so you're essentially telling us you're a professional storyteller, and NFTs are at the heart of that, right? They're that core piece.
Of course.
Very cool. Very cool. James.
Yeah, I don't think anyone really cares about my personal background. It's not nearly as interesting. But certainly the story of like connectivity to these two guys is our two co-founders had actually helped build Algorand out of MIT with Silvio Micali. And it's great tech, but now they have an issue of getting access to liquidity that exists on Ethereum. And the connectivity between chains became apparent to them that this was going to be a big issue that needed to be solved for. So they left Algorand to start to try to solve the interoperability issue. And what I'll say is when it comes to like pitching to DeFi or having conversations with layer ones, we'll jump right into like technically. We're more decentralized. We're built this way. Let's get into the architecture. But when we started speaking to NFT projects and games, it became very apparent that like that wasn't the way that we were going to find like our space. It was through like value alignment. It was through talking about like what these NFT projects, what people like Remy are trying to accomplish by reaching more people, by having a unified community, and that this technology was enabling artists to tell their stories so much more easily across the world to more people. And Axelar and this infrastructure could help them do that. And that's where, like, I think the connectivity here comes is we want to facilitate for artists, for people like Remy, for Algorand, their ability to not be limited to just people that have that particular wallet or gas token. And how do we connect kind of all of Web3 and play our part in that? So that's kind of why we're here.
Yeah, that's a critical piece. And actually what you said at the beginning kind of resonates. So, some of the people at Algorand will know that Algorand actually stemmed out of the infamous trilemma. So back in 2015-16, there was this notion that a blockchain can't be secure, decentralized, and scalable at the same time. It needs to choose two of those. Actually, I think it was Vitalik that kind of put it there. And Silvio Micali, Turing award-winning professor, co-inventor of zero-knowledge proofs, was like, I think I can figure this out, and he did, right? So he came up with this research paper that ultimately got funding, and that became Algorand. And the first value prop, the first story that Algorand came out with was, we solved the trilemma, right? And in retrospect, at the time it was kind of, cutting edge. But, fast forward to today, no one really cares about that. And I would even say that even then, that only appeals to a subset of people that find that as a big challenge, right? They're passionate about all three, and they care more about that, for example, than user experience maybe, right? Or things like that. So even on our end, that narrative has kind of evolved. It started with that. It moved into, as DeFi was coming up and we realized Algorand's capabilities, it moved into the future of finance. You can have literally billions of transactions every day on Algorand, so it kind of pivoted into that. And also the green component as again, part of our identity, part of the story that we tell. But the interesting thing is all of these things over time are commoditized. So where we're at right now, quite frankly, is what we realized is it's actually not about us, it's about the ecosystem. And the best stories come from our ecosystem. We have some of them here, by the way.
Yeah.
So that's really ultimately what we're leaning into. Whether it's NFT projects with a very interesting angle on the community side, or a really good cause that's aligned with something. It's all about telling those stories to inspire other people to join Algorand and really validate the possibility.
I think those are the stories that actually count and matter in the space as well. Like you said, with the tech behind like blockchains, not everyone's, gonna want to understand how scalable a network is, or how many transactions can it have.
Yeah, they just want it to work.
Second, of course. Yeah.
They don't want it to go down, right? They want it to be intuitive and fast. That's it.
Yeah.
So James, like you touched interoperability, and I think that's probably also a good topic to maybe talk about, because I think what's happening now, and we're focusing on interoperability just to build bridges, right? Because we realize we are somewhat of a silo. Algorand is not EVM. It has its own unique consensus mechanism, and because of that, despite being the absolute best tech, we don't have enough bridges. So if someone's looking for liquidity, they go to Ethereum or they go to Polygon, right? If they're looking for scale, they might come to us. So while we focus on that, what we're realizing is that also changes the narrative, right? Because suddenly it's less about, we have the Algorand tribe and we have the tribes within Algorand, right? But there are a lot of similarities and a lot of alignment with other tribes, right? So how do you help that happen?
So we were talking about that before, that you have these communities that exist, but the connectivity between them. Like people talk about portability of NFTs or skins. Like the idea that through this digital ownership, somebody could have this identity and use it across all of Web3. They should be able to use that game. You play that game, whether it exists on a subnet on Avalanche or a supernet over on Polygon. They should be able to easily transfer that as efficiently and fast as possible. And so that requires interchain messaging rails. And so that's like the role that we hope to play, is to make that future actually a world in which there's this full, complete connectivity of your digital identity. And I'll add one thing, like one of the use cases we think is super interesting right now is the idea of being able to actually leave your NFTs on the original chain, keep them locked in the smart contract on the source chain, so the bridges don't have to be custodial. Because we're all super aware of like the security risks and all the hacks that we're seeing in the bridging space. And so actually, like the way that we see the future moving is that you can just pass information that says that Remy owns this NFT, and then he can go participate in anything on any other chain, so long as they reliably trust that information. So you can think about like loyalty rewards or the ability to participate in a concert that exists in a metaverse. They shouldn't be walled from whether it's on Algorand, whether it's on Polygon.
Yeah.
And so that's where we're kind of coming into it. And so like to Remy, to you, I guess, like I asked, how did you kind of make original decisions about where you wanted to be and where you kind of seeing your community being built?
I think for us, obviously, I think the future of NFTs and digital collectibles is becoming blockchain agnostic, which is the term that everyone's utilizing now, where you're not just sitting on one chain, you're going across multi-chains, because there's so many communities as well, isn't there? And if you believe in like a metaverse, like the future of Web3, there's going to be so many metaverses that intertwine with each other, and we want to become more interoperable as well. So for us, we originally built on Ethereum. That was the first thing for our NFTs, because the NFT community on Ethereum is like probably the biggest on the in the space. And then the next one was the Casper community as well, which is Casper network, which is currently growing as well. And they're able to allow us to change the NFTs and how they look on chain.
You could do that on Algorand too.
Of course, yeah, I know. without like obviously changing metadata on Ethereum and stuff like that and refreshing the metadata. It makes it like 10 times easier for us to change on the storyline. And the storyline of, you know, the Genesis Empire, you know, each of the planets, they have their own blockchain. So we've got like the Ethereum planet, and then we've got the Casper planet as well. And we don't aim to end there as well. So we might be
so Algorand planet next.
Let's do it.
Biggest planet of all.
Let's do it.
And I'm actually curious. So you launch on Ethereum because the liquidity is there, the users are there. Are you seeing that most of your buyers are, again, like Ethereum NFT collectors? I'm interested about your target audience, or is it more like, you know, manga fans that are also passionate about tech?
Yeah, so in the Ethereum space, you've got like everyone that wants to trade and, you know, they want to make money on the floor price. That's like the main thing, isn't it, for most people? With a project that's, you know, 777 and it's split across Ethereum and Casper, most people will probably see that and be like, I'm not going to make quick money. I'm not going to make a quick flip on that. And that's, you know, it probably steers away from people that want to trade. And we want to focus on the people that are actually like, you know, they invest in projects that want to build like anime projects and manga projects. And, you know, like I said, I grew up on Dragon Ball Z, Naruto, like Attack on Titan. You've just started watching that, haven't you? So literally, like, I grew up on that and I enjoyed that myself, and I want to, you know, give a story to other people in the community that's, you know, come from my head and, you know, my teams and everyone else that I'm working with. And I just believe that, you know, in the future we'll be able to, you know, be on Casper, we'll be able to build in other side metaverse, which is, you know, Yuga Labs, and that's going to be on Ethereum as well. So that's, you know, we've got like multiple lands that we're going to start building on, because Yuga Labs give us the SDK kits for us to build, you know, and our holders actually, they can play the games on our metaverse as we build them with blending with the rendering and stuff like that. We can have like developers, like, you know, our NFTs will be available for our holders, and they'll be fighting on our lands and stuff, and you know, that will be like insane for the metaverse.
Right, and again, I think in that perfect world, and back to interoperability, right? The reason we talk about it is because it's becoming less about the actual chain and more about the solution. And if you think of the ultimate solution, the solution's very likely a number of chains that do different things. Settlement might happen here, right? Minting might happen here. And at the end of the day, assuming we're gearing towards the best possible user experience, that's how it needs to work, right?
100%. And so there's I don't know if anyone saw, but last week there was a project that launched Junkyard, and it actually like scaled to, I think, the #3 trending NFT series. And they were using interoperability in a really interesting way. And the way that the game played out is you dumped your shitty NFT in the Junkyard, and you basically got a lottery ticket, right? And the core team had supplied a few, like a Bored Ape and some actual cool things.
John,
to
are
win.
you writing this down?
Yeah.
We should do this.
and we can. And so the way that the game ended up playing out was there were a few contract calls that needed to be made for the gamification. Like, so they stored the data on Polygon. The NFTs remained on ETH, and if you eventually won one, they unlocked it on ETH. But in terms of like sourcing a randomization of 3 NFTs that exist in the Junkyard, that activity was actually taking place on Polygon. So here they are. If you look at this map, they're using Polygon for its low gas fees to create like a better gamified experience.
Right.
Yet Ethereum for the liquidity.
Right.
And that's like the interesting place that we want to go is not that we're anti-business, but we want to empower the actual creators to be in a position economically that they have greater access to liquidity, which makes, you know, these NFTs more valuable. But the actual marketplaces aren't in a position to kind of own the creators, because you guys can go and build this stuff anywhere and still come back and have access to the liquidity that OpenSea has.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. But I didn't hear about it because I think everyone was listening to like Nakamigos last week, so I think that was like the main thing. But yeah, like in the future, like I want it to be blockchain agnostic. Like I want everyone to be from different communities, because you have certain qualities in those communities. Like you know, in Ethereum community, there's certain people that you can actually start building with as well that have like networks and connections with certain people in the space that you might need, whether it's like music or whether it's like art or whether it's something else. And you've got the Casper side as well, where you've got people that are like actually like developers and they have their own node and they have the like the knowledge that you can take and, you know, help you build your own dApps and your own developing softwares on your projects as well. And because the community is so small and it's so early in the space, they more than likely help people that are starting to build on their network, so the network can actually grow to become what it needs to become. So I like that aspect, definitely.
Shamir, can I ask you a question?
Please.
The current state of NFTs and Algorand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Kind of, I think everyone's thought of it as an enterprise chain.
Yeah.
At times. So can you just tell us a little more?
Sure, and thank you. Thanks for framing that question. Yeah, we have actually like Agash, our large brand gallery, our largest NFT marketplace. The Algorand NFT ecosystem. First of all, we have a small community, very small numbers, but it's been growing consistently despite the market over the past year or so. And the reason, again, I think this is because we have people who really appreciate the tech, and the moment you buy an Algorand NFT, and by the way, again, we have some cards here. Anyone here who wants to claim a free one-of-one NFT on Algorand can do that right after this call. We'll give you the card. It takes less than a minute. Bottom line is, it's like this Web 2 experience.
Gartner cycle? Are you going to jump into the Gartner cycle for everyone?
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know if we have time. We have 2 minutes. We were going to talk about the Gartner cycle, but just in short, what I'm going to say is, it's very hard to go back to MetaMask once you use Algorand. So once you're there and once you understand the potential of this, you get it, and I think that's what kept everyone together. We had a phygital drop this week called Next Gens. That's you get a digital NFT that unlocks a video game, as well as these premium sneakers by Lil Durk, and a bunch of other examples. I think we'll skip the Gartner hype cycle. Because we have a minute 40. I guess maybe just a quick kind of fire round of last words. Let's talk about utility and what gets you excited about the future of NFTs. Let's start with you, James. 30 seconds. We each get 30 seconds.
I'll keep it even shorter because I think it has to end with Remy, like the actual storyteller here. But I think we're just excited to be able to use this infrastructure to create new use cases so he can do new things, right? He can tell his story
100%.
in new ways. And I think, interesting, like the production that we were talking about of the actual like TV show. Can you, I guess, talk a little bit about where you want to go?
Yeah, so I think for my project as well, I think with projects like Azuki and you've got Renga, they're all anime-based NFTs, and I think in the future they'll probably more than likely have their own show, whether it's like a series or a season. For us, we're starting to build our animations with our community, so it's all going to be token gated. Collab land through the Discord. They get to see the developing cycle of everything that we do, whether it's animation, whether it's manga. They get to be a part of that process because they have their own NFTs, and now they're seeing their NFTs become characters, and they have their own stories and their own personal identity, which is incredible as well, because then they can start putting twists on how they view their character, how they view their character in the future, and whatever they want to be in the metaverse.
I love that. If you think of it, every brand has a story, right? And NFTs unlock different new ways for people to experience their story and engage, and at the end of the day, also provide kind of more loyalty, revenue opportunities for the brands themselves, for the creators. That's where we're heading. 3, 2, 1. We're off. Remy, James, thank you so much. Thank you everyone for listening. Have a great rest of your conference.